Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be playing classic Aggro Blood again. There's not much to say. This deck is pretty much the same as always, so nothing too new there. This audio recording has been recorded over the top of the gameplay after I fucked up the recording the first time. This will be the last one of those recordings, so hopefully that shouldn't be an issue. But first matchup is against Dragon.
Time to get started. Bow before Dark Dragoon.
So we draw pretty poorly. I would have preferred to have had decent draws here. The mulligan does okay, but I still got a really bad draw. I'm actually surprised I managed to pull off the win in this game with such shitty draws. But it gave me some potential, so I was alright. And then Ambling really pulled this hand back a little bit. If I managed to draw into a 2-drop into the next turn, I probably could have been completely right without any trouble at all. So we do fortunately get another Ambling, which isn't another bad play. Our next play, on the other hand, needs to be pretty solid. So luckily, we're left with both Amblings and the Vate. This has been really solid so far for us because we've been able to develop a board pretty quickly without really having to worry, which is quite nice. So we do get to basically play the board however we like, which is good. Dropping another soul. Vate gets the evolve, and we deal 8 damage total for this turn, sending them to 10, and allowing us to heal for 1. They will start dropping big stuff from this point though, which is a little bit of a worry. Things like Salamander would have been a nightmare to deal with. Fortunately, they didn't play Salamander here, and instead opted for Rahab, which really wasn't a big threat to me. And fortunately they do use the evolve, which means my Soul Devil does give me another heal and some damage to them. So I couldn't have asked for a much better outcome in that regard. I misplayed slightly here. I should have probably tried to kill off the Rahab with something else first and then played the bats. So then I would have had 1 extra bat and I would have killed the thing in an easy sweep. But that was just an unfortunate misplay. So that happens sometimes. But we do evolve the Soul Devil just for the extra damage because setting them to 4 is a bloody amazing and you can't go wrong with that.
Ready to witness my true strength? To make the world blue.
Fortunately they do play Sybil, making things a little more difficult on me. But we are pretty much in a position where we can't lose, so we go with Blood Wolf and evolves and Blood Wolves and Race Claws for game pretty easily, honestly.
Defeat.
Which is good. So we have the next game here, which was against Forest, as we can see, and we went first, which isn't bad for Blood. Going first is actually quite good for Blood overall. So we managed to pull off the Curse for the opening play, which is good, and managed to get a Vania and Razory to follow up. So we have a few nice options to go with in our next few turns. If we can have a solid opener against Forest, you're always pretty set. So getting this 1-2 is crucial to dealing with a Forest deck. The downside is that if you draw poorly, you do get overrun pretty quickly. But we draw into Duke, which gives us the most solid play we could ask for. They don't really play much at all, which is actually really good. And then we just managed to drop Vate for a defensive and hit face for a couple more damage. It was a little bit of a risk. I mean, they could have swung it and then done some other shenanigans, but they didn't. They just go with the Goblin Mage and pretty much end their turn, which honestly isn't really an issue for me. This allows me to play another Duke, setting up a multi-Duke play and using Razory Claw just to secure the board a little bit so that I'm not worried about the pressure from that Goblin Mage at all. Even though I could have used that to go face and put him at 6, which would have put them very close to lethal by the end of next turn, I chose not to risk that. And I think not risking it was the right choice in the end, so not too bad at all. Giving us a Vampire Bat also is a really nice play.
Really? You're done for.
Then they go for the crystal
You help me, right?
for the trade.
What a cruel end!
Now,
My blood
from here,
filled.
we go for double Vania for double damage. That's why I traded the 1-drop
Vania.
instead of just attacking with it, because I wanted the double Vania damage for 2 and to put more board presence out there with higher stat line. So if we did get hit by a, what is it called, Will of Forest, I would have been okay spot with hopefully surviving the board. I would have been left with, at worst, a 1-1 bat, which would be evolved, or at best, I would have been left with either one of my Vania or my Duke. So, Will of the Forest would have been basically unplayable here for them, which is good. That's exactly what I was kind of aiming for, so... Fortunately, they don't seem to have any other play, and that closes out this game pretty quickly, honestly. So we do go straight into the next game, which is against Shadow. Shadow is always fun, hey? Especially when you have to verse it.
Father, come on.
No, honestly, I don't mind fighting Shadow that bad. Shadow's just another deck, another day. But we started with a we started with an average hand, I would say. Being able to play the drop on 1 is always solid. Having Vampiric Fortress is a good option for 2 if you don't have anything else to play, because you're not really losing anything from playing Vampiric Fortress, but you're not really gaining anything. It's, I would say, a +0 card if you're just playing it on 2. Like, skipping your turn would be a -1, because you're not gaining that, you're not losing that, you're losing your whole turn. This way I'm not losing the turn. So that's how I'd look at this turn. Plus we get Vate, which combos nicely with the Vampiric Fortress, because if they are traded into, then Vate's able to set up the bats, which is good. Fortunately, they do play Catacomb, swarming their board and making it really difficult to deal with. Not impossible, just mildly difficult. I've definitely come up against worse matches.
Oh, they're sparkly.
So we go for the Vampire Mini Soul combo, just to try and limit the board a little bit, while also healing and dealing damage. It's definitely not the most optimal option, but it's definitely an option. So they managed to pull off a Bone Chimera, pulling out basically everything they need to close this out pretty well. We do see, like, I try and think of options here, and this is where I kind of fuck up a little bit, I think. I try and come up with an option out of this. I think Vania is probably the better one, just so I can summon the bats and get as much damage as possible. I mean, with the Vania damage +1, +3 by the time the other 2 bats spawn, and then +7, so a total of +10 damage. Yeah, just on this one turn, I think. Oh no, there's +2, sorry, and then +3, so 5, 6, yeah, 7. So 7 damage, sorry. So we're +7 damage in, which is good, especially with Razor Claw in hand. It means we can threaten game a little easier, which is what I was aiming for. This game was extremely close. If they had a couple of cards that they needed at the time they needed them, I would have been completely fucked. But fortunately they didn't have those, so it wasn't an issue.
You just think you beat me.
So our next draw was pretty crucial. I needed something that would help me deal damage while also hopefully developing something on the board. So I do pretty alright here and draw a Vania, which is pretty perfect, honestly. I get double damage from the Vania. I get to use the Night Horde for clear as well, and the Evolve on the Vania for another little bit of damage. So we pushed another 3 damage and cleared up most of this board, which is pretty good. You know, the worst play I would have come up with here would have been Hector. If Hector had have dropped, they would have cleaned up the Vania, they would have dealt 12 to my face, and I would have had a board that was almost impossible for me to deal with. But fortunately I didn't have that sort of option, and they went for a different option, leaving me with a guard draw, drawing the Implanter, getting that little bit of damage I need, and now even with Hector, they can't close the game here, which is awesome. Because Hector would have allowed them to deal 12, the Mimi would have allowed them to deal an extra 2 for 14, and they would have been 1 off lethal. And then they decide to go for ward, thinking that they can close the game out this way. Fortunately, I have my good friend Razor Claw to say nope, and just win the game, which is pretty good. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smack that like button and subscribe, and you'll find links in the description to anything you could need. Catch you guys next time. See ya.